When I think about jumping and defying gravity like us dancers do, you know, that to me is just something that is so ethereal and so heavenly.
Well, let's just see if she's home. When I showed up to meet Lori, we quickly realized that we had a lot in common, including a love for ballet.
It was awesome. It was exciting because dance was everything to me. That's where I got my identity from. So I just felt on top of the world when I was in dance class.
Lori also shared a very personal struggle that affects many young women.
All I wanted to do was get the best roles, and so I was willing to do anything. And if it required me not eating, so be it.
By 16, Lori developed anorexia. At her lowest, she shrank to 85 pounds.
In the dance class and in the dance world, it was exactly where I needed to be, but when I was going out into the real world, I felt so disgusting. And really, all that I wanted to do was just disappear. And I will say that I had a lot of thoughts about wanting to die. And that's what an eating disorder is. It essentially is a very slow death.
During her time of despair, Lori sought the help of her aunt and uncle, who were Christians.
I just broke to pieces. But there was something in them that I saw that I wanted so bad.
What was it?
They were going to church, and they were totally joyful. That was the best way that I could describe it. And so I remember being like jealous of what they had. I just remember thinking, I want that. Whatever you have, I want that. And that's when they shared with me that it was Jesus that had like stepped into their life, restored their marriage, restored their family, and that he could do that for me. And I remember just like thinking, I need to start over. As I became alive in Christ, I also became alive physically. And it was awesome. I mean, you literally saw from like one day to the next a different person, and this girl had joy.
But even with this newfound joy, there was a tough road ahead. After high school, Lori planned on living her dreams as a dancer in college. But her parents had other plans.
My parents said to me, no way, you are not going to pursue dance because you are dying, literally. I mean, they knew how sick I was. And so they pretty much drove me to a Christian college.
How did you react? Dance is your whole life up until you're 18 years old, and then all of a sudden they're just telling you, no, you can't do it anymore, you've got to get healthy?
Oh, I put up a fight. I really just, I told them, you're forcing me to do this, and I'll always, regret this and be upset with you. But that's not what happened.
As it turned out, dancing wasn't even allowed at the Christian college. But instead of focusing on what she couldn't do, Lori spent her time getting to know the Lord and purposed to feed her spirit and body.
There were like these revival meetings and worship, and I just got so plugged in and I soaked everything in. I mean, practically I was a sponge. And so for me, sacrificing the dance was like nothing. All I wanted was to be whole and free and healed. And I'll tell you, it wasn't an easy road. I mean, there were days where I would be cuddled up in bed and I didn't want to go to dinner and I didn't want to go to any of the meals that we had at our cafeteria at school, and I hated that food. But my friends would come and they would knock on my door and they would just take my hand and they would kind of drag me there, and they would just pray me through like every bite. And so amazingly, like within 2 months, I gained 30 pounds.
During one of her quiet times, the Lord led Lori to a verse that she hung on to.
Jeremiah 31, verse 3 and 4. And it says, I have loved you with an everlasting love, and I will draw you with loving kindness. You will be rebuilt, O Virgin Israel. Again, you will take up your tambourines and dance with the joyful. And I thought, God, like, I can dance and be joyful. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to worship him. And that's where my freedom came. And I believe that's where I was able to truly overcome this eating disorder.
But almost immediately after this revelation, a series of new health problems arose.
First, it was a diagnosis of fibromyalgia, which was completely unexplained pain, stiffness in every muscle, joint of my body. The next year, I was in 3 car accidents. And then after that, I had ovarian cysts rupturing twice. and then kidney stones, just one painful thing after another.
The moment you decided to dedicate your life to dancing for the Lord, it's almost like your body physically wasn't even able to do it anymore.
Oh yeah.
And when Lori's class planned a trip to Israel, she learned that a precancerous tumor had formed beneath her ear. Against the advice of her doctor, she went to Israel rather than go for her scheduled surgery.
God, is this still something you want me to do? Is this your time? And every time I would go back to him in prayer, I just knew over and over, nope, this is the time you will be healed in Israel.
She remembered the verse from Jeremiah and hung on to the promise that she would one day dance joyfully. After receiving prayer at the Pool of Bethesda, Lori noticed a remarkable difference.
A few weeks later, when I went into surgery, the doctor said that it shrunk 2/3 the size.
These days, Lori is stronger than she's ever been, completely healed. And foods like pizza are no longer the enemy.
I think that my healing is so much deeper than physical because I look in those eyes of that sad girl, and now that girl does not come back. I've never seen her in the mirror since then. I see an audience of one. I just want to express my love for God and for what he's done for me.